Well, most of it's true though.
It's like critical, micromanaging, although they are nurturing, understanding, and supportive.
And fathers.
They will let you know when
So,
you're wrong.
say it again,
I said they will let you know when you're wrong.
moms
Yes.
and dads.
No.
So dads are what, more forgiving of faults? More forgiving,
No.
more accepting?
No, actually,
It kind of
mothers are
depends.
more accepting.
It's a son or daughter also.
Okay.
Never forget that day.
That day. That day when
Do-
your son gets pregnant.
Wait a second, do you guys feel like the faults, that it depends on the kind of faults? Like,
Of the parent, right?
no, of the child, like, you say the mother's more critical of faults, like you also said fathers are critical of faults. Does it depend on the faults that you make, like a grade in school versus,
The father's more strict about that, I think.
okay, what about like sexual exploration?
The fathers are much more strict.
Much more
Depends
strict.
On the,
which one.
So
If
mother,
it was a
Like, it
daughter,
depends.
it was
Yeah,
critical
daughter, yes.
fault towards a daughter. If it was a son, he'll understand more, even 1/10 of it.
okay, what about things like deviant things, like stealing or smoking or hanging out after curfew? Stricter?
Unless it's not a
I think
career
that's
girl.
what the,
Okay.
I think for daughters with the curfew thing, the father would be much more stricter, the mothers would be
She break the bread.
Okay, okay. What about personal development? Who is more supportive?
The
Like
mother.
Getting a Okay, interesting.
So you were at the house by 21?
Okay, so like helping you put your resume together or getting you to an after-school thing or
Yeah,
I think
that's
the
mother.
dad would be more like, learn how to do this yourself, because you're gonna be a man, or you're gonna be an adult, you have to do this by yourself. The mother would be
Okay.
like, oh, let me teach you how to do this.
Okay, so the mother, oh, okay, so interesting, right. And, so more of a teaching approach, right?
It's like what you said before, when the dad gives advice, like he's the person you look to like a life lesson, and he's gonna tell you how it's good in the long run.
Figure it out yourself.
Yes.
Do it yourself, dad.
Okay, so would you boil these down to male and female traits? That these are the ways that men and women sort of operate on sort of gender levels? That in general, I mean, again, general terms, because we all know that there are, you know,
In our culture.
I'd say yeah.
other, Alex? Risha?
Oh, that's why there are stereotypes. I mean, they're not true all the time. I mean, for
Okay.
example, my parents are the exact opposite. My mom is the strict one, and my dad is more the approachable one, the one who you can always talk with.
Okay.
I mean, if I make one little mistake, my mom just gets mad at me for no fucking reason.
What is it? 'Cause you're
Okay. All right, that's funny. Risha, what about you? You feel like these are good examples of general, expresses general ideas about moms and dads? Cassandra?
I think like the mother is stricter on the guys, and no, yeah, the mother's stricter on the guys and on the girls, but the father's stricter on the girls.
All right, so it's interesting. So there's obviously no one-size-fits-all mold here, but generally, we could say that it's a combination of something. Sometimes the fathers are more, are stricter, sometimes they're more lenient, sometimes mothers are stricter, sometimes they're more lenient. But some things you could say that about like personal development, a lot of you feel wholeheartedly that it's the mothers who would do a little bit more, go that extra mile to get you to the place where you want to go, things that interest you. They would be more invested in that, whereas the fathers might be, go figure it out yourself if you want to do it. Kind of more, what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word. Like self-reliance, right? Develop self-reliance. Whereas mothers might tend to be more like, let me help you with that. Well, I can see that, and I mean, I know I always use my examples, but like, my husband expects my son to be able to tie his shoelaces, even though nobody has ever taught him. So I'm always tying his shoelaces, and my husband's like, go tie your shoelaces. But he has no idea how to tie his shoelaces, because I don't sit down and teach him, I just do it for him. And my husband doesn't sit down and do it for him, so how is he supposed to know how to tie his shoelaces? So, right, he's supposed to figure it out himself, right?
Velcro sneakers.
But I think that generally, even in, where these roles are kind of challenged or, inverted or whatever, that there are still characteristics that are handed down from gender to gender, from father to son, from son to son, from et cetera, right? So this idea of go tie your shoelaces, is different than let me help you tie your shoelaces, or let me help, or here, this is how you do it, right? There's sort of this develop a self-reliance, right? And the mothers are more of they have more of a teaching approach by being present and maybe even doing things. And fathers often feel like, what is their criticism of that approach?
If you're teaching them to be reliable on you.
Right, to rely on you, mama's boy, right, mama's girl, huh?
What?
Mama's little helper.
Mama's little helper, right,
Oh.
exactly. So, right, and that's considered what? If you're too attached to your mom, you're what?
The sissy boy.
Sissy. Mhm. But that's also a cultural thing also, right? And in different cultures, American culture, that is definitely not cool, right? Right, to have like a good relationship with your mom in American culture is kind of uncool, right? It's like, oh, get away from your mom as soon as you can, and she's just kind of the annoying parent.
I agree with you completely, because I see it as kids who grow up in a single parent home, it's usually the mother that they grow up with.
Yeah, usually.
And those kids usually wind up going away from their mothers at an earlier age and
Yeah.
focusing more on the streets and trying to find other male figures to bond with.
Right.
So it's like, I want to get away from my mom.
Yeah, definitely.
I never heard the term of daddy's boy or mommy's girl. It's
No,
more of daddy's girl or mommy's boy. It's
right,
it's kind of more.
right, no, definitely.
In psychology, it said that the girl will fight for her dad's attention with her mom, and the boy will strive for his mom's attention and compete
Yeah.
with his dad.
Mhm.
So it's like a competing
Like the little boy who dresses up in his father's clothes.
Yeah, it's like the opposite. They compete for their affection.
Right,
Like a shit.
so it's normal part of psychology,
Yeah.
right? But those have bad connotations, right? Mama's boy, daddy's girl. That is kind of, guys, what's going on back there?
My actor was just telling us
Peanut
speaking about
gallery. You guys have a very lively conversation. We want to be part of it.
I don't think
I'm sure the camera's picking it up.
Huh?
I'm sure the camera's picking it up.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay, just quickly. So, all right. And then, okay, so just briefly, in the last article that we have is also this idea that